Yeah, welcome to ShareTrek. I hope you're having a great weekend. Friends, today at the request of a subscriber, I'm going to profile Bionano Genomics. In this video, I'll be talking about genetic mapping, physical mapping, and the three types of physical mapping, and optical genome mapping, the method that Bionano Genomics pioneers. We'll also be referring to competitors such as Illumina and PACV. So let's get started. Welcome back, friends. First, let me walk you through the Bionano website briefly so that you can see their products and service offerings. And after that, we'll dive into details. So let's get into the website. We are now in the website of Bionano Genomics, and this is their flagship product, which is called Sapphire. And it has its own supplies, cartridges and chips and reagents. So let me just quickly show you the products. So in terms of products, they have the Sapphire, which is the machine that you see out here. And apart from that, they have got the Bionano chips, which are what you see adjacent to the machine. There is Bionano prep kits and Bionano data solutions. And in terms of services, they are allowing clients to opt with them for Bionano data options and data services, as well as they have certified providers who presumably use the Bionano hardware and supplies in order to generate the desired reports. This particular machine, Sapphire machine, which is the only one that they have, is an optical genome mapping machine. And they are pitching this as a structural variant detector. And that's their distinction from the likes of Illumina and PACV. According to Bionano, they feel that this is going to be the future of the industry. I would like to start off with the stats first. Bionano Genomics stock price is currently at $1.86. So after seeing this video, if you decide to be a bit adventurous, you could buy a few hundred shares without worrying too much. Just kidding. The company was founded in January 2003 and is headquartered in San Diego, California. It has approximately 300 employees and a sales revenue of 17.98 million. If we were to look at the stock holding by institutional investors, we have Vanguard funds, Fidelity Small Cap, iShares, Russell 2000 ETF, which are among the top 5 mutual funds that hold this particular stock. Among institutional investors, we have BlackRock, which has the largest holdings, but recently they sold a small portion of this share. Then we have Charles Schwab, Geode Capital, Morgan Stanley, and Allianz Global Investors among the top 5 institutional holders in this company. Bionano Genomics distinguishes itself from its competitors by placing an emphasis on structural variance analysis as opposed to its competitors who have microassays and sequencing machines. However, if you look up Illumina website, Illumina also claims to be in the structural variance analysis business. The implication being that as per Bionano Genomics, they are in the next generation or superior category to Illumina and Pacific Biosciences, namely structural variance analysis. According to them, sequencers cannot reliably detect structural variations. That means Bionano Genomics claim that they are in a space that is superior to Illumina, Pacific Biosciences, and Oxford Nanopore. They have plans to launch their next-gen OGM systems in 2023. So I'm just going to show you a slide from this company in their data sheet, which talks about their plans overall. Just going to walk you through it, and then we'll come back to my discussion. Here is the corporate data sheet. I'm going to start with slide number 4 here because it's the slide where they start distinguishing themselves from Illumina and other companies, and they have positioned themselves as experts in structural variation analysis with their equipments. And if you look at the next slide out here, it talks about why structural variation is important and what is structural variation. I wouldn't go into details on this, but the proposition that Bionano has is that in future, just doing genomic sequencing is not going to be adequate. You need systems that can show structural variation so that treatment and diagnosis can be done quickly. So that said, we have just one system that Bionano has got. It's a Sapphire system. Whereas if you look at Illumina, Illumina has an entire scale of systems that is available, from the very small scale user to the industrial user. And Pacific Biosciences also has got a few systems available. So in terms of range of systems or platforms, scalability of platform, I think Illumina is definitely superior from my perspective. Now I want you to have a look at this slide 7 in their corporate presentation, where they talk about, they try to explain what optical genomic mapping is. And guys, you know that I'm not a scientist, so I'm going to be doing my best as a generalist to try to interpret this diagram. And if any of you find any faults in that, please put it in the comments so that we can stand corrected. So basically, the way that system, the Sapphire system, is going to work is that the sample is taken from the patient, and ultra high wet molecular weight DNA is extracted and isolated from the sample. And they have a technique whereby they have fluorescent molecules which can attach itself to individual elements of the molecular weight DNA that has been extracted. And they have a DNA linearization in nanochannel arrays technology, which linearizes, and they are able to create digital molecular barcodes out of that. And then the digital molecular barcodes are read in order to reveal the genomic variations. And that's how I would read the technology of this company. And if you recollect, earlier we had done a segment on Oxford Nanopore, where they use a physical method where they have literally nanopores in a medium through which they flush the genetic material, and they are able to trap individual molecules out there, and then they read them. So that's physical technology that they have. And there are other technologies where there's a pairing done with individual molecules of the DNA, and then that pair is read separately, and thus the structure is revealed. So there are various methods, but this is optical genomic method. I wanted to use this chart because as a generalist, it's difficult for me to explain these technologies. I need a visual aid out there to walk through. I don't claim to fully understand this technology, but the way I'm looking at it from an investment perspective is that they have a proprietary method of using optical systems in order to read a genome and find variations. That's how I would put it. And their flagship product is a Sapphire system that uses optical genome mapping. As with other instrumentation companies, the genomic imager needs special chips and reagent kits, as well as a proprietary analysis software and interpretation software. And here is a slide that shows their claim of superior technology. I'm going to walk you through this particular slide, and then I'll come back again. So if you look at this particular slide, we have them comparing their Bionano Genomics Sapphire machine against the competitors, one of the machines from Illumina, one of the sequencers from Pacific Bio, and one from Oxford Nanopore. And they are talking about 1, 2, 3, 4 parameters against which they are comparing. Of course, there may be many more parameters. As investors, we should always look at understanding the entire picture. I'm not saying that Bionano is not disclosing everything, but what I'm saying is that you have to look at each of these companies in detail, because if you were to go to Illumina website and look at Illumina's product, they would have separate criteria in which they are superior to Bionano, Pacific Bio, and Nanopore. So these are marketing materials, and we have to make sure that we have to do our own due diligence and look at experts in this field who understand it, so that reliable experts who can guide us. So this is the chart in their presentation, which talks about how the singular Bionano Sapphire system that they have is superior to the competitors. And as per this chart, Illumina is the next best competitor, because it has got adequate throughput comparable to Bionano Sapphire, as well as in terms of cost of consumables, they are comparable. And I believe the red color used for these readings out here, or comparisons out here, potentially indicate negative performance. That's how I would look at it based on the color coding, but I don't know if that's what it means here. So Bionano Sapphire, according to them, is superior to all the competitors out here. The next slide I want to talk about is this slide, in which they are giving some statistics. And here are some numbers. And I would say that the 15K sequencers installed worldwide is a big asset for this company, because this number will only go up. And along with this ever-increasing install base, there will be increased uptake of reagents and chips needed to process increasing volumes, which currently stand at around 4.2 million samples analyzed annually. And I think that, as I said, in case of Illumina and PACB, when I did a review of those companies, there is a captive installed base of 15K sequencer in this company available for upgrades. So in 2023, they are planning to bring an upgraded system. So they have a captive market out here where they can provide incentives and provide an upgrade plan and immediately get onto their next level of hardware. Also, their servicing and maintenance revenues and training revenues will be separate income streams which will follow. And therefore, I think the business model itself is pretty good. It's like the printer business. HP would sell you a printer, and after that, you keep on going to them for inks. And because the printer is so cheap, once it breaks down after 5 or 6 years, you just buy a new printer and you go on with it. But with a more expensive sequencer, you may go back for maintenance and servicing contracts and those kind of things. So those revenues will come in. And the rate at which new installations took place was 196 OGM systems involved as of Q2 2022. And that shows an increase of 20 units in Q2. So on an average, we can assume that they are able to sell and install approximately 15 to 20 units in every quarter. Revenue for Q2 came in at around 6.7 million as against a street expectation of 6.28 million. And those things are shown in the slide out here, the next slide out here. And I've also taken information from their Q2 press release. And their Q2 2022 EPS came in 22% below street expectations when they reported a loss of 13 cents per share as against street expectation of 9 cents loss per share. The stock has fallen 88% from its peak price of 15.74. Now I'm in the TradingView platform, and I can see that the stock has fallen 88% from its peak of 15.74, which happened to be on 16th of February 2021. And right now they are at 1.86. So there has been a steep fall. That's 88%. It's not small stuff. But during this period of time, we have seen other stocks which have also fallen around 92%. So this is par for course, in my opinion. They had cash and cash equivalents worth 187 million at the end of Q2 2022, and their current market capitalization is 539.66 million. So these are all hard facts and numbers, most of that taken from Bionano Genomics website, and from my past memory from reviewing Illumina, PACB, and Oxford Nanopore. I brought in some comparisons out there. So I'm going to talk to you about my conclusions. Based on what I understand of all these genomic sequencing companies, I do not know for sure whether structural variants is a unique category or next level of diagnostics for genomics. And I'm not sure that Illumina doesn't have that capability. But if I was to think logically about how genomic sequencing is working, is that the machines take a sample and then extract the genomic data from there and show a mapping of how the genomes are organized. And I think there's a database that can be built up based on variations that are found from patients for various diseases, and then they can be associated with those diseases. This is how I am thinking things can happen. So genomic sequencers become essentially input machines where the genomic sequences are mapped and given out as reports, and then experts would be going through them and looking at a standard genome, which is the baseline, and they would be looking at genomic readings from patients of various conditions, and they'll be trying to identify genomic variations that cause those conditions or diseases. That's how I'm thinking. And I think that I would always consult experts in this field to understand whether Bionano Genomics is more superior with their Sapphire system as opposed to Illumina with their scalable, and Oxford Nanopore, I think, has got just one system. And as far as PACB is concerned, they have got a couple of systems available. So scalability is the strong point for Illumina. I don't see scalability as a strong point for Bionano Genomics, or for that matter, Oxford Nanopore. So that's one comparison I have. In terms of market presence and in terms of the size of the company, market capitalization, I think Illumina is a pretty big leader out there. And also, I think Illumina with its scalable systems is doing pretty well. The only problem for Illumina right now is their obsession with Grail. If they decide to let go of Grail and just focus on their sequencer business and keep on going for the next level, I think they would continue to maintain their leadership and they would do very well. And I suspect that's where they would go in the near future. That said, coming back to Bionano Genomics, I think there is a lot of risk involved with Bionano Genomics because it's a smaller company as compared to Illumina, which is a market leader in my opinion at this point of time. And there are other competitors also like Pacific Biosciences and Oxford Nanopore, which could compete in terms of cost and customized service, assuming Illumina becomes too big. So there's a lot of competition for Bionano Genomics. That's another thing that I would like to say. They have sufficient cash in their balance sheet at this point of time, but I've not been able to dwell into what is their cash consumption, but we know that they have not been profitable and they have not met street expectations. But considering that their share price has dropped 88% and it's just $1.86, I mean, if you were to buy 100 shares, it's not that much. So if you just buy 1,000 shares and put it away and you can afford to forget it, well, that would be a very good opportunity. I mean, at this point of time, the risk-reward ratio is more skewed in favor of rewards because I don't think Bionano Genomics is going to be running out of cash anytime soon in the next couple of years, and they are continuing to have revenues coming in, and they have a captive installed base which is going to go for consumables, and they have other services which they are providing. So I think that one could potentially invest a little bit of money they are willing to lose. They can put that in Bionano Genomics, maybe 1,000 shares, keep it away and forget about it for the next 2 to 3 years. Maybe you'll have a pleasant surprise. It could go up 88%. You never know. When the market improves, all shares are going to go up and there'll be an uptick. So from a risk reward perspective, for a very small portion of investment, I think I wouldn't have any problems. And after doing this, I think I might just invest a little bit and keep it away, maybe 1,000 shares, and just forget about it for the time being. That's how I would look at it. And I think with that, I don't have any more observations regarding Bionano Genomics. Of course, friends, these are all my personal opinions. Remember, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a genealogist or a biologist. So I'm coming at it purely from an investor's perspective. And when I look at the share price, when I look at how much it has dropped from the peak, and look at the installed base of machines that they have, and their proposed upgraded machine, which is going to come in 2023. I think I would definitely invest in Bionano Genomics at this point of time. A very, very small amount which I can afford to lose, and I'll forget about it for the next 2 years, not obsess about the share price. It will go up and down. But ultimately, at the end of 2 years, when we all come out of this recession and bearish environment, all shares are going to go up. Oxford Nanopore will also go up. Illumina will also go up. And Bionano Genomics will also go up. And by that time, they would have had a much more installed base and things will look much better. So friends, that brings me to an end of this video. If you did like this video, please press a like out there. It helps YouTube expose our video to more people like yourself who are interested in genomics investments. And if you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe and help us grow this channel. Thanks and have a great weekend. Bye for now.